Discover the incredible journey of a pure flower seller. 100 Bouquets bought a life-changing revelation. In the heart of Willow Creek, a quaint town where every face told a story, Emma set up her flower stand each day, suffused with sunlight and life. Each morning, she arranged bright blooms like sunflowers dancing in the wind, their colors a hot kiss of joy amid her simple shop. Emma, a 30-year-old flower seller, wore her heart in every petal she handled. Behind her radiant smile, however, lay the scars from her past, a struggle to support her elderly father, Tom, a proud veteran battling demons from his time in service. The vibrant colors of her bouquets reflected hope, yet shadows loomed, whispering doubts of financial hardship as the looming harvest festival approached. As autumn approached, excitement buzzed through the air like the sweet scent of freshly cut roses. Yet, tucked within the anticipation was an undercurrent of worry, a storm brewing not just in the sky, but within Emma's dreams. Each year the Harvest Festival was the lifeblood of the town, a celebration that brought families together. For Emma, who needed a loan to expand her business, it was the gateway to stability. But the wealthy townsfolk, those who looked down their noses at her humble origins, doubted her capabilities. How could a simple flower seller like Emma make a difference when it mattered most? Then the storm hit. The wind roared and rain lashed against the town, ripping apart festival plans and sending despair crashing like a wave. Broken tents and scattered decorations lined the streets as the community watched, hearts sinking. It was as if the very essence of Willow Creek was torn away. Emma felt a shift deep within her, a courage rising like sap in spring. She rallied the townsfolk, igniting a flicker of hope as she initiated relief efforts. "We can rebuild," she urged, her voice strong amid the chaos. At first, eyes turned away, skepticism knitting their brows. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But Emma worked day and night, piecing together the fragments of hope. Slowly, hearts began to thaw. The community started to see her for who she truly was, not just a flower seller but a pillar of strength, someone who believed in rebirth and connection. Their doubt became determination, and the spirit of the town began to shine again. One fateful day, her estranged father, Tom, stepped into her shop after years of silence. His presence was a storm within itself, unspoken words coursing between them. Would their bond mend amidst all of this chaos? As dusk settled, Emma grasped the weight of her journey. Standing at a crossroad, her heart raced with questions. Could her unwavering love for her father and the community push them toward a brighter future? And would those who once underestimated her finally see the treasure in her heart? The clouds shifted, and a glimmer of sunlight peeked through, hinting at a renewed beginning. Emma held her breath, hoping that this storm would not only pass, but lead to something beautiful blooming anew. What lies ahead for Emma and Willow Creek? Only time would tell. Emma stood behind her flower stand, her heart racing as she faced her father. Tom's eyes searched her face, trying to bridge the gap created by years of silence and pain. The air crackled around them, heavy with emotions left unsaid. The vibrant petals of the flowers fluttered like whispers in the wind, a stark contrast to the turmoil within. "Dad," Emma finally breathed, the words slipping out like a fragile promise. "Emmy," he replied, his voice thick with unprocessed grief. "It's been too long." A silence stretched between them, filled with all the words they hadn't spoken. Memories of carefree afternoons and father-daughter adventures danced like fireflies in Emma's mind before the weight of reality had settled on their shoulders. She gestured to the blooms surrounding her, each one representing a layer of her journey. "I'm trying to help the town rebuild after the storm," Emma shared, her voice earnest and steady. "It's important to me, to all of us." Tom's gaze dropped to the flowers, and for a flicker of a moment, Emma saw a glimmer of pride in his eyes. Yet, she also noticed the shadow of doubt lurking there. "You deserve better than this," he finally said. "You shouldn't have to shoulder everything alone." Bitterness nipped at her heart. But I have to. This is my chance to show you that I can make a difference. The ache in Emma's chest swelled, pulling at old scars. She yearned for his support, for him to recognize her strength. Yet, these years apart had left marks, and she wasn't sure if his heart was ready to embrace the woman she had become. Suddenly, the door swung open, interrupting their moment. A few community members trickled in, hesitant yet curious. Emma turned to them, a smile breaking the tension. "Hey, we're brainstorming ideas for how to come together for the festival," she said, brightening the atmosphere. Tom stepped back, uncertain, his eyes still clouded with the weight of their history. As discussion sparked, Emma's spirit lifted. Townsfolk shared suggestions, and laughter wove through the air. She watched people rally together, igniting a collective energy she knew would drive them forward. Yet, every cheer reminded her of the unfinished conversation with her father. Later that night, as the final rays of sun painted the sky in soft hues, Emma sat on the stand steps, her floral creations glimmering in the dusk light. Tom approached slowly, his expression softer now. "You truly believe you can bring everyone together?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, the conviction solid within her. "If we can unite in love and support, we can rebuild our community stronger than before." He sighed deeply, grappling with his own fears and regrets. "And what about us? Can we mend the wounds between us?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. Would he step into the light with her, or remain in the shadows of their past? The flickering lanterns around them illuminated the path ahead, a promise of hope, yet also uncertainty. The night held potential, but only if they dared to take a step together. With her heart full of questions, Emma looked at her father, waiting for a response that could shape their future. Would they find the courage to embrace the possibility of healing? The air shifted, thick with unspoken potential, and she wondered if this would be the moment when everything changed. Emma held her breath, praying that Tom would meet her gaze, that he would acknowledge both the past and the promise of a new beginning. The silence hung heavy, a bridge they both needed to cross, but neither knew how to traverse. "Emmy," he finally started, his voice low and hesitant. "I don't know how to fix what's broken between us." A bittersweet pang struck Emma's heart. "Maybe we just have to start small," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. "One step at a time." Tom nodded slowly, uncertainty reigning in his eyes. He began to speak, but the words faltered. Instead, he reached for one of the flowers at her stand, a delicate daisy, its white petals contrasting sharply with the darkening sky. "These remind me of the times we used to pick flowers together. Do you remember?" Tears pricked at the corners of Emma's eyes. "I do. We spend hours. Just you and me." The nostalgia flooded in, a wave that washed over them. For a moment, she felt the ties of family binding them together again. "I miss those days," he confessed, his voice thick. "I miss us." Emma fought back overwhelming emotions, a blend of hope and sadness. "Then we can try to find it again. Let us start with the festival. It could be our chance." He looked at her, his face softening. "You really believe this will bring everyone together?" "Yes," she said, her confidence steadying her trembling heart. "I want to show them what we can create together. A celebration of our community. And maybe a celebration for us too." Tom hesitated, weighing his next words carefully. "What if I let you down again?" "We can't think like that." Emma's voice cracked, but she pressed on. "We can't keep letting fear dictate our choices. We have to choose hope." As the stars blinked into visibility overhead, Tom's face relaxed, the tension easing. "I'll help," he said finally. "With the festival. With everything." The words felt like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. Emma smiled, that simple gesture igniting a flicker of warmth in her chest. Yet just as hope began to bloom, a sudden noise shattered the moment. A commotion erupted at the far end of the street, drawing both their attention. The sound of raised voices mixed with laughter, but there was an edge to it that felt unsettling. "What is going on?" Tom asked, concern sharpening his features. "I don't know," Emma replied, her heart hitching in her throat. "Let us go see." They hurried away from the stand, instinctively moving closer to the gathering crowd. Curiosity piqued as they approached. Emma caught glimpses of familiar faces, community members she had grown up with and loved. But at the center stood a man she hadn't seen in years, Caleb, with a wild expression and a small flock of people surrounding him, whispering animatedly. What is he doing here? Emma's heart raced. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. Tom glanced down at her, their earlier connection momentarily forgotten as the uncertainty loomed large. I don't like this, Emma. We don't know what he wants. Emma could do nothing but stare. The feeling of unease crept in, but something deeper stirred within her, a sense of foreboding mixed with the thrill of possibility. Let us find out, she urged, gripping her father's hand. Maybe he has something important to say. As they pushed through the throng, Emma wondered if confronting Caleb would propel them forward or thrust them spiraling back into the heart of chaos. What would unfold once they reached the center of the storm? Emma and Tom maneuvered through the crowd, their hearts racing. The murmurs of the people created a symphony of curiosity and anxiety, but all Emma could focus on was Caleb. A knot twisted in her stomach as they finally reached the center of the gathering. Caleb stood tall, his presence demanding attention. His clothes were ragged, and his hair disheveled. The crowd parted slightly, creating a space for his frenzied energy. Everyone, listen up, he shouted, waving his arms wildly as excitement crackled through the air. Emma exchanged a glance with Tom. His eyes bore uncertainty, but there was also a flicker of intrigue. Emma squeezed his hand, willing him to trust her instincts. Whatever Caleb was about to say could change everything. What's he doing? Someone in the crowd whispered, and an uneasy murmur rippled through the throng. Caleb's voice rose, cutting through the chatter. I'm here to talk about a proposal, a chance to turn this town around. We can restore the heart of Crestwood. Her heart leapt at his words. Could this be what they needed for the festival? Emma wanted to believe there was potential behind Caleb's reckless demeanor. Wait, how do you plan to do that? A woman shouted from the back. You've been gone for years. Because I've seen the world. I know what it takes to unite people, Caleb proclaimed, his face lighting up with a fervor that was hard to ignore. We need to come together, invest in our future, in our community. And I have an idea. Tom breathed beside her. This could get out of hand. Shoo. Emma barely heard her own voice over the rising excitement, holding on to the fleeting hope that maybe Caleb had found his purpose during his absence. Caleb launched into an elaborate description of a plan that involved the festival festivities to draw in people from outside Crestwood. He spoke of music, food from local vendors, games, and contests. There was energy in his words that ignited the crowd, and Emma felt her doubts starting to slip away, if only slightly. But as she looked into the faces around her, she noticed furrowed brows and skeptical eyes. Caleb, we can't just ignore what happened before, a man called out. You abandoned us once. Why should we believe you now? A charge of tension snapped through the air. Caleb's bravado faltered for just a second, an imperceptible crack in his shield. Because I've changed. I've made mistakes, but I want to make things right. I can't do it alone. Emma's heart raced. This was the moment. Maybe we can help him, she blurted out, surprising even herself. Eyes turned toward her, a mix of confusion and curiosity. If we start small, like Tom and I were just talking about, we can guide him. Show him we're willing to rebuild. Tom stared at her, his expression a blend of disbelief and encouragement. Yet, she could see the apprehension lingering. Caleb's gaze shifted to meet hers, and something shifted in his demeanor. You'd really willing to work with me? Let us start with the festival, Emma said, the words spilling out as she felt a rush of determination. We can make it a day that represents our community as strength together. The crowd murmured, contemplating Emma's proposal. For a brief moment, the doubt began to dissipate. Then we do it, Caleb said, his voice steadier. We put on the festival together. It's time Crestwood stood proud once again. There was a spark within the crowd, a flicker of hope rekindling among old friends and former foes. But in the back of Emma's mind lingered the fear that, despite the atmosphere of excitement, things could just as easily unravel. Are we really doing this? Tom whispered, his hand tightening around hers. I think we are, Emma replied, her heart racing with equal parts hope and dread. But what if we're just looking for trouble again? Before they could discuss further, the crowd erupted into applause, some people shouting promises of support. And in that moment, as Caleb basked in the glow of rekindled belief, Emma couldn't help but wonder, could this truly be a fresh start, or were they stepping into a whirlwind that would sweep them away again? The festival was only the beginning, and the question remained, what personal truths would be unearthed in the chaos to come? Emma stood on the edge of the crowd, her heart still pounding from the electric moment when she had thrown her hat into the ring. She could feel Tom's apprehension beside her, like a steady anchor pulling her back to the ground. He shook his head slightly, concern etched across his features. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" he asked, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "I don't know," she sighed, biting her lip. "But what if this is what Crestwood needs? What if Caleb really has changed?" Tom looked away, scanning the faces of their neighbors, many of whom wore expressions ranging from cautious optimism to outright skepticism. "You know it's going to take more than just words," he said finally, a hint of doubt framing his tone. Emma nodded, realizing how fragile this moment felt. The weight of potential failure pressed on her shoulders, but beneath it, a flicker of hope ignited. She pulled in a breath, ready to confront Caleb's wild vision head dash on as the crowd buzzed with discussions. Some people started to clap, others were calling out their support, while a few still stood cross-armed, waiting for more convincing. Emma stepped forward, raising her voice above the swell. "Caleb, what is the next step?" Caleb's eyes lit up at the sight of her. "Right. We need to form a planning committee. Everyone who wants to take part, come up." More people began to drift toward the center. Emma felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as she joined the huddle of eager faces. Tom lingered close behind, still unsure but willing to support her. Caleb divided the crowd into groups, assigning tasks, decorations, food, games. "Emma, why don't you spearhead the art and music?" he suggested, enthusiasm shining through his words. Okay," she said, surprised by his faith in her. "Great. And we'll need a budget, fundraising ideas, all that too." Caleb continued, his hands waving like a conductor leading an orchestra. As discussions deepened, Emma's nervousness turned into determination. She didn't have to have all the answers, but she could rally the townsfolk to share their talents, skills, and ideas. Days turned into weeks as the festival planning kicked into high gear. Emma felt herself become part of something bigger, something that could bolster their weary community. But the late nights spent painting banners and organizing musicians also left her with little time to reflect. The more she worked with Caleb, the more she was forced to confront her own feelings toward him. There was something magnetic about his passion, and despite the past, it pulled her in. "Let us meet at the coffee shop tomorrow to finalize details," Caleb said one evening, brushing his finger against the brim of his worn-out baseball cap. The casual gesture made Emma's heart skip. What was she really feeling? "Yes, let us do that," she said, trying to sound casual while her mind raced. Tom noticed the shift in her demeanor, his brow furrowing deeper. "Got plans with Caleb tomorrow?" he asked, his voice laced with a protective undertone. "It's all about the festival," Emma insisted, but she felt the weight of Tom's stare. As the event drew closer, Emma struggled with the line between professional and personal. With each interaction, she was forced to confront who she was becoming amid the chaos: an organizer, a dreamer, or something more intricate. Then a week before the festival, an unexpected twist struck Crestwood. The tentative peace was shattered by a sudden storm that threatened to undo everything they had worked for. Emma watched the dark clouds roll in, feeling a twinge of dread. Was the festival meant to be a healing moment, or was it just another reminder of the fragility of hope? Just as anxiety began to wrap around her heart, she thought of Caleb's unyielding passion. Would it be enough to rally the town back together once more, or was it all about to unravel? As the winds picked up and raindrops began to fall, Emma stood watching the festival lay tantalizingly close, yet the storm hinted at approaching chaos. What new challenges awaited them on this fragile journey toward togetherness? The storm broke over Crestwood like a dam bursting, heavy raindrops tearing through the air, splattering against pavement and rooftops. Emma could hardly breathe as she watched the clouds rage. It felt like the sky was reflecting her turmoil. Would their hard work wash away like dirt under the pounding rain? Tom grabbed her shoulder, trying to break through her swirling thoughts. "Emma, we can't let this ruin everything. Let us get the word out. We need people to help with the logistics, maybe move things inside." His urgency pulled her out of the sinking feeling in her gut. "Right. We can do that," she agreed, her voice steadier now. The flames of determination reignited. "Let us gather everyone together. This festival means too much to everyone in Crestwood." As Emma shared her plan, bright-eyed faces started to emerge through the rain. Neighbors, youth, Kids and old-timers rushed to the community center as the winds howled their protest. They wanted to help, and that was everything Emma needed to feel the spark of community reignite. Look, you guys are brave coming out in this mess. Emma flashed a smile as she stood before the crowd, trying to rally the energy they all needed. We've worked too hard. Let us bring this festival inside. Let us make it a celebration of who we are. A few people cheered, their voices rising above the clamor of the storm. Emma felt the warmth of their energy wash over her like a beacon in the dark. Time slipped away as tasks were divided, her heart racing with the rhythm of collaboration. She spotted Caleb moving through the crowd, shaking hands and sharing ideas. A flicker of comfort washed over her, but doubt lingered. What if the storm was just the beginning of bigger trials? Still, the laughter and chatter buzzing around her began to fill her with hope. The storm raged for hours, but inside the community center, it felt different. Warm lights glowed, and the smell of coffee mixed with the sweet scent of baked goods filled the air. Artwork hung on the twinkling string lights, and the chatter of youth planning games created a tapestry of excitement. Emma stood with a flourish of pride, watching people laugh and bond as they worked. But as the storm continued to drench the town outside, Emma couldn't shake a feeling of unease. You think this is enough? She asked Caleb, who had now joined her. He was drenched, but his grin lit up the room. Enough? This is just the beginning, he encouraged, scanning the bustling space. We have each other, and that's what matters now. Just look around. Yet in the back of her mind, nagging thoughts crisscrossed her heart. Would the festival bring them together, or would the storm shake the foundation they were trying to build? Tom approached her with a frown, kneading his hands together anxiously. It seems like everyone's on board. But this storm I know, Tom. But we're here, and we're pushing through, Emma replied, her conviction brimming. We just have to trust that this won't break us. As night began to fall, and the sounds of joy flooded in around her, she captured one last glance at Caleb, whose gaze was fixed on her with an intensity that sent her heart galloping. Did he see the same potential in their future together that she felt brewing inside? She wanted to believe their past was behind them, but with every laugh and every moment shared, she wondered if it was too tangled to unravel. Could they come out on the other side, fogged with doubt, yet still holding on to hope? With the winds howling outside, Emma felt a wave of uncertainty crashing over her again. As the laughter mixed with thunder, she stood at the intersection of change, her heart fluttering with both fear and hope. What if the festival turned into more than she could ever have dreamed, breaking through the storm and into clarity? Tomorrow would tell. Could they truly rise as a community, or would the darkness of their individual storms pull them apart? The morning light broke through the remnants of the storm, carrying with it the sweet smell of damp earth and fresh beginnings. Emma stood by the window of the community center, watching as the last raindrops clung to the branch of the oak tree outside. She felt a sense of peace wash over her, a momentary reprieve from last night's anxiety. Emma, Tom called, his voice echoing through the spacious hall. We need to finalize the schedule for today? She turned from the window, her heart racing. Today was the day. After the chaos of the storm, the festival was more important than ever. People were arriving early, filled with excitement and ready to celebrate. It was a stark contrast to the fear that had clung to her just hours before. Coming, she shouted, forcing a smile as she walked toward the makeshift stage where Tom had set up. Caleb was already there, his hands sliding over the clipboards, looking more focused than she'd seen him in a long time. Okay, so we're looking at a rough draft for the events. We have the games for kids, the bake-off, and live performances lined up, Tom explained, turning pages swiftly. Emma nodded, but her gaze kept drifting back to Caleb. He was deeply engrossed in the schedule, but she could tell he was just as centered on the event as the fleeting connections they had shared. You think we'll have enough volunteers? She asked, trying to shake the unease that clung to her heart. Absolutely. The community stepped up last night, Caleb replied, looking up to meet her gaze with a warmth that sent a flutter through her chest. Especially after the storm. I think it brought out an even stronger spirit in everyone. That got her thinking. The storm had disrupted their plans, but it also illuminated the strength of their community. Maybe this festival would be more than a celebration. It could unite them in ways they never imagined. The hours passed in a blur of activity. Laughter and conversation filled the center, weaving a warm tapestry of humanity amidst the chaos of cleanup. Emma carved out time to speak with several vendors, their genuine excitement infectious. There were children running around, their bright faces beaming with joy, and elders swapping stories as they set out chairs. The festival was taking shape, and hope pulsed through her veins. Yet, she found herself sneaking glances at Caleb. There was something different in the air between them today, a subtle longing mixed with memories of their past. Just as she opened her mouth to speak to him, a commotion erupted by the entrance. "Emma, the weather is beautiful, and people are starting to show up," Tom shouted, running over. "I think we're actually going to pull this off." She nodded, taking a deep breath, but her heart began to race. The festival wasn't just a gathering. It felt like a turning point. Would they find themselves as more than just co-organizers today? As the clock ticked down, Emma realized she had a choice to make. The festival could signify a fresh start or gamble her heart where old wounds still lingered. With the sun fully risen, casting golden rays through the windows, it felt as if the world outside had transformed along with them. The warmth touched her like a promise, and with each joyful laughter surrounding her, she steeled herself for what lay ahead. Could today be the beginning of healing, of rebuilding much more than just the festival? Before she could reflect further, the sound of distant music drifted in from outside, pulling her toward the door like a magnet. A rush of people was gathering as the first notes swelled, and Emma's heart surged with anticipation. But as she stepped outside into the growing crowd, a figure she didn't expect emerged among them, one that could unravel everything she thought was solid. Would this connection be a blessing or a storm of its own? Emma's breath caught in her throat as she squinted through the crowd. The music blended with murmurs of excitement, but it faded into the background as she focused on the figure moving toward her. It was Olivia, her childhood friend, who had left town years ago under a cloud of unresolved tension. "Emma," Olivia shouted, a broad smile lighting up her face. The sight of her brought back a flood of memories, shared secrets, laughter, and the fallout of a friendship that had once been so bright. "Olivia," Emma's voice was barely above a whisper. Could this be real? The crowd parted slightly as Olivia stepped forward, her energy infectious. She looked different, more mature, yet familiar all the same. Emma felt a mix of surprise and hesitation. How had Olivia returned so suddenly? And why today of all days? "I heard about the festival and just had to come back," Olivia announced. "I've missed this place and you. I want to help." The sincerity in her eyes made Emma's heart ache. How could they possibly repair the broken trust that had lingered like a shadow between them? Just as Emma began to sort through her swirling emotions, Tom reappeared, oblivious to the storm brewing in front of Emma. "Hey, Olivia, you made it," he cheered, pulling her into a quick hug before turning back to Emma. "She'll be great to have on your team. You two can coordinate the bake-off." Emma forced a smile, still grappling with the whirlwind of feelings inside her. Yeah, that sounds good," she stammered, though her heart raced for reasons other than excitement for the event. Caleb, who had been watching the interaction closely, stepped forward as well. "Welcome back, Olivia. We could use someone with your energy." His tone was warm, though Emma sensed an edge of curiosity that made her pulse quicken even more. The festival continued to pulse with life around them. Children danced to the music, while adults set up booths filled with goods and laughter. Yet, Emma felt stuck in a moment that refused to move forward. Olivia was here, but could they really start anew? "I'm sorry for how things ended," Olivia said softly, stepping closer, her sincerity piercing through Emma's defenses. "Can we at least talk? I'd love to catch up." Emma's heart tugged. Memories of good times meshed with pain from their fallout. Could they rebuild their friendship in the midst of this celebration, or would reopening old wounds only add more chaos to the day? As the festival came alive around them, Emma found herself caught between the promise of reconnecting with Olivia and the hope of something different blossoming with Caleb. Would she embrace the past or take a leap toward the unknown? Before she could answer Olivia's plea, the music shifted, and a local band began to play a lively tune, drawing the crowd's attention. Emma felt the energy rising, the moment expanding before her as their eyes met. With every beat of the drum, Emma realized everything was shifting. Would this festival become a foundation for healing her heart, or would she stumble into a web of conflicting emotions? As the sun shone brightly above, spreading warmth across the vibrant scene, Emma had one thought echoing through her mind. Which path would she choose? And would it lead her to the healing she desperately craved? What choice would she make when the festival reached its peak, and everything she thought she knew was put to the ultimate test? Emma's world spun as Olivia's words hung in the air. The vibrant colors of the festival blurred around her. Music thumped, laughter rang, but all she could hear was the heartache wrapped in Olivia's apology. This was not just a greeting. It was an invitation to confront the past. "Can we at least talk?" echoed in her mind. She glanced at Olivia, searching for signs of the friend she had once known, the girl who shared secrets and dreams under whispered stars. But the years had changed them both. Emma's heart beat wildly, warring between nostalgia and the caution she had built around herself. "Sure," Emma finally managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Let us find somewhere quieter." With a nod, Olivia led the way through the crowd. As they ducked away from the packed central area, Emma felt a prickle of fear. Once they were alone, would the shadows of their past creep back in? They found a small nook behind a booth decorated with colorful bunting, just far enough from the festival's chaos to catch their breath. As the sound faded, an awkward silence settled around them. Emma could almost hear her own heartbeat ringing loudly in her ears. "I've thought about you a lot," Olivia began, her gaze sincere. "I never meant for things to end the way they did." Emma swallowed hard. "Neither did I. But it hurt, Liv. When you left, it felt like you abandoned me." "I didn't abandon you," Olivia insisted, her voice rising slightly. "I needed to leave. I structured my life away from here, so I could breathe. It got so tangled up that coming back felt too complicated. But you didn't reach out." Emma's voice wavered, hundreds of questions floating just beneath the surface. "There were so many times I needed you." Olivia stepped closer, her eyes searching Emma's. "I know, and I regret not being there. I really do. I've missed everything, the town, my family, but most of all you." The weight of Olivia's confession hung in the air, but Emma couldn't shake the doubt that clung to her. What if we can't go back? What if things are too broken? Olivia's expression softened, a mixture of hope and pain reflected in her fiery gaze. "Maybe we don't have to go back. We could build something new, something better." There was a moment of silence, both holding their breath, each weighing the weight of their history. Emma's heart wavered. They had so much to lose, but abandon the memories of their shared laughter? Could she really look past the pain? Before Emma could respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Caleb's name flashed across the screen, but she pushed it aside, focusing on Olivia. "I want to try," she finally said. "But it's not going to be easy." "I'm ready if you are," Olivia promised, a tentative smile creeping onto her face. Just as Emma surrendered to the reunion's warmth, a loud crash jolted them from their newfound connection. The booth across from them toppled over, revealing an angry vendor shouting amidst spilled goods. The mood shifted again, and Emma's heart sank. Her moment with Olivia had come at a price. Chaos was just around the corner. The festival atmosphere changed from joyous to anxious in an instant. "Looks like it's not just us feeling the pressure," Olivia joked lightly, but her eyes were wide with concern. Emma laughed, but it felt forced. "If things are this messy now, just imagine what it'll be like when we start unearthing the past." The two gazed at the ruckus unfolding, the festival's energy shifting once more. Yet amid the crowd's frantic reactions, Emma could feel a flicker of something alive, possibilities, hope, and threads of their shared story intertwining once more. As laughter broke out in another direction, Emma turned back to Olivia. "Let us get back in there. The bake-off awaits, right?" They moved to rejoin the festivities, tension mixed with resolve in their hearts. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow that promised change. Emma felt alive, ready to face whatever came next. But deep down, a question arose. Would the challenges ahead bind them more tightly together or pull them apart again? Emma took a steadying breath, her heart racing. As they left the shadows behind, the festival was only just beginning, and the real test was still to come. The sun was finally setting over Crestwood, casting a golden hue across the festival festivities. Emma stood at the heart of it all, her pulse racing with the thrill of everything they had achieved. The laughter of children, the sweet aroma of baked goods, and the melodic tunes of the live band filled the air, creating a tapestry of joy that pulled at her heart. But nestled within that joy was the undeniable tension, the potential for connection and chaos looming over her. She glanced at Olivia, who was directing a group of kids toward the bake-off area, her smile radiant and infectious. Could they really rebuild their friendship alongside the community? Emma. Caleb's voice called, pulling her from her thoughts. He was rushing towards her, excitement radiating off him. We have the first entries for the bake-off. You should see this. People are really getting into it. His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, and for a moment, Emma felt the burdens of the day lift. Let us check it out, she replied, a smile breaking across her face. Together, they weaved through the crowd, the festival embracing them like an old friend. As they moved toward the bake-off station, Tom appeared, his face aflush with pride. I can't believe how many people showed up. This is amazing. He enveloped Emma in a quick hug, and for just a moment, everything felt perfect. Yes, and look at the entries, Emma exclaimed, pointing to the long table adorned with colorful cakes and pies, each a testament to the community's resilience. This is exactly what we wanted, everyone coming together. The three of them stood back and admired the hard work they had all poured into this day. But Emma felt the question hovering. What if, amidst this joy, the chaos that had brought her and Caleb together would erupt again? Just then, a commotion erupted at the far end of the bake-off station. Emma's pulse quickened as she spotted a familiar face. Caleb's past acquaintance, Mark, was storming through the crowd, his expression twisted with anger. This is ridiculous. How can you let someone like him back in our town? Emma's heart sank. Could this really be happening now? The bustling festival atmosphere shifted, eyes darting toward the source of the disturbance. Caleb, stand back, she started to say, but he had already stepped forward, facing his detractor head-on. Mark, it's not what you think. I'm trying to make things right. Caleb's voice was steady, but Emma could see the tension in his shoulders. We all deserve a second chance. Is this what you call fixing things? You think throwing a festival will undo everything? Mark shot back, his words slicing through the warmth of community like a winter chill. Voices started to rise, a cacophony of split opinions swirling among the festival-goers. Emma felt the weight of the crowd's shifting sentiments. Would Caleb's presence shatter the fragile reconstruction of camaraderie they had created? Feeling determination surge within her, Emma took a deep breath, stepping forward to stand beside Caleb. Everyone deserves a voice, and everyone deserves a chance to grow. We fought too hard to let this festival turn into chaos. We're united in rebuilding. The murmurs grew louder, uncertainty rippling through the crowd, but Emma pressed on. We've been hurt, but we can either let that break us apart or show how strong we can be together. Look around you. This is what it means to be a community gathered in hope, not fear. Olivia stepped up beside Emma, nodding in agreement. We're all here, rekindling friendships, supporting one another, and learning. Change is hard, but it begins here right now. The crowd began to shift again, voices mixing with the promises of connection. Emma could see recognition dawning in their eyes as waves of shared experiences washed over them. Caleb turned to Emma, gratitude shining through his stormy past. Their eyes locked for a heartbeat, an understanding that moved beyond words. They were in this together, no matter the outcome. Mark hesitated, the fire in his eyes flickering. I just don't trust him, he finally muttered, but behind his defensiveness was uncertainty. Emma took a step forward, her voice softer now. Then see what we can create together. Give us a chance to show you, give Caleb a chance to show you. A ripple of murmurs passed through the crowd, and Emma held her breath, hoping for a shimmer of acceptance. Moments passed like hours, the weight of decision palpable in the air. Finally, Mark spoke, his voice less aggressive. Okay, let us see what happens today. But you better prove that you're here for real. The tension began to release, relief washing over Emma. Thank you, she breathed, and she felt the community start to unite again, their support tangible around her. The festival resumed its former vibrance, laughter ringing out amongst newfound curbed fears. Emma smiled up at Caleb, shared understanding blossoming as their future intertwined, fragile yet strong. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the festival, Emma turned back to her community. Let us enjoy today. Let us celebrate our journey, imperfections, and all. In that moment, a wave of applause erupted, piercing past the chaos and wrapping around them like a blanket. Tears stung Emma's eyes, but amid the joy, she felt hope surging within, a promise of connection, a promise of healing. There would certainly be more struggles ahead, but today, together, they stood firm. Crestwood was on the mend, and so were they. This was just the beginning. Don't wait, not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us keep the movement going and inspire each other.